Hello everyone, with the 3.5 update, Cyno is getting his rerun, and many of us who want this character might actually get Cyno. So here is a complete guide covering his talents, constellations, artifacts, weapons, team comps, and ending it with a showcase. Let's start. Cyno is an on-field DPS similar to that of Raiden Shogun. The way you want to use Cyno is with his Elemental Burst, which is his main source of damage. Elemental Burst. On cast, Cyno will enter a state called Pack Sworn Path Clearer, where his normal attack, charge attack, and plunging attack will be converted into electro damage. And this cannot be overwritten. So all those C6 Bennett players can be at ease. Cyno's elemental mastery and resistance to interruption will also be increased. He will gain immunity to electrocharge damage. So you can focus a team around electrocharge reaction and utilize this property of Cyno. This state that Cyno is in can be a maximum of 18 seconds, okay, and no longer than that. Usually it is at a 10-second duration, but due to his elemental skill, that is the second state, the second form of his elemental skill, the mortuary rite, it will increase the duration of his elemental burst state. I will talk about that in a minute. So what this burst does is that when you use his elemental burst, Cyno will enter a state where he gains all these claws, and similar to that of Razor, okay, so he'll gain all those claws and he'll start attacking with that, and he gains a different attack animations. So his normal attack is completely useless, and the normal attack multipliers that are useful are already mentioned in his burst. So leveling up his burst and leaving his normal attack is a good idea. This burst is a 80 cost burst, so he would need someone to funnel him energy or would make you build tons of energy recharge on him. It has a base duration of 10 seconds. He also gain 100 elemental mastery. Over here they said that Cyno will gain elemental mastery and resistance to interruption, correct? The elemental mastery that he will gain at max level 10 is 100 elemental mastery. So this state that Cyno is in, it has a base duration of 10 seconds and can be extended all the way till 18 due to his mortuary rite. Elemental skill. Now this elemental skill has two variations. One, when you do it outside his elemental burst state, which has a 7.5 second cooldown, and the one that you do in his elemental burst state called mortuary rite. That thing's cooldown is at a 3-second cooldown. So when you do his elemental skill outside his elemental burst, he will dash forward, dealing electro damage and gaining a good amount of particles. And when you want to do it in his burst state, you have to time it very perfectly and do his elemental skill right when the eye pops up on the screen. The eye is due to his Ascension 1 passive, that whenever he is in his elemental burst state, that is the Pack Sworn Path Clearer, he will also enter another state called End Seer Stance, okay, at certain intervals. This can be depicted when an eye is shown on the screen, okay, and whenever this eye is shown on the screen, all you have to do is use this elemental skill to gain more damage, okay. So this thing it does is that it will increase the elemental skill damage by 35%, and it will also fire off 3 Duststalker bolts. Duststalker bolts are those vertical bolts that you can see when you time your elemental skill and this Ascension 1 passive quite amazingly, okay. Now the Duststalker bolts is considered as elemental skill damage, so if you want to do more damage through the Duststalker bolts, you must level up your elemental skill. And this scaling on the Duststalker bolts would be 100% of Cyno's attack as electro damage, okay. Now the Ascension 4 passive makes him so that he can scale off of Elemental Mastery as well. Now the Path Clearer, that is his Elemental Burst state. That state's normal attack, its damage is increased by 150% of his Elemental Mastery. And the Duststalker Bolts, that thing's damage is increased by 250% of its Elemental Mastery. So this passive allows you to build tons of Elemental Mastery on Cyno. As for the talent priority, you mainly want to level up your Elemental Burst and then your skill, both having equal importance because of his Elemental skill doing the mortary right damage. Okay, one more thing is that when you time your mortary right perfectly, it would increase the duration of your Elemental Burst by 4 seconds. It's written over here. Pack Sworn Path Clear duration bonus is 4 seconds, and this state can last for a maximum of 18 seconds, and it will be cancelled when Cyno will leave the field as well. Talent priority will be his Elemental Burst and his Elemental Skill. And then you can leave the normal attack because it is quite useless, as his burst has separate attack animations and separate attack multipliers. Constellation. Cyno is a character that is very good at C0 and doesn't need any constellation. But if you are a whale and looking for early constellation, his Constellation 2 is a good stopping point to pull. Constellation 1. His first constellation gives him 20% attack speed for 10 seconds, which can be refreshed with his elemental skill. Constellation 2, a very good constellation for Cyno. When Cyno's normal attack hits the opponent, his electro damage bonus is increased by 10% for 4 seconds and can be triggered every 0.1 second, max 5 stacks. So with this constellation, Cyno is getting a 50% electro damage bonus. So it is a good thing. His Constellation 3 is a +3 levels for his elemental burst that you can pull if you want some extra scaling. His Constellation 4 is quite unique, to be honest, because when his elemental burst state, he triggers an electro reaction. Okay, so that can be electrocharge, aggravate, overload, quicken, anything like that. Okay, he will restore 3 elemental energy for all party members except himself, maximum of 5 times. So you can gain up to 15 elemental energy this way. This will be for all the other party members except himself. Constellation 5 will be a +3 levels for your elemental skill. Constellation 6, it is basically more damage for your Cyno. Okay, whenever you use your E properly in your burst state, you will gain 4 stacks of something called Day of the Jackal. Okay, he can hold a maximum of 8 stacks, and these stacks will last for 8 seconds. So what this thing is that whenever you time his elemental skill properly, and then your next normal attack, when it hits the enemy, it will fire 1 Duststalker bolts with each normal attack and can be triggered every 0.4 seconds. Okay, it's basically a more damage for your Cyno. And if you want to utilize this constellation, you must unlock the passive talent Featherfall Judgment. Overall, Cyno's constellations are pretty good to have, and he also has an early stopping point, that is his Constellation 2. Otherwise, his constellation are quite balanced in my opinion. Artifacts. To build Cyno, it is quite easy, to be honest. The sets you need, you might have them like at God level 50 crit value pieces. Here are some builds for Cyno. For an aggravate Cyno, okay, so you mainly want to play an aggravate Cyno with 4-piece Thundering Fury. The 4-piece Thundering Fury will give you 20% more aggravate damage, and the 2-piece gives you more electro damage bonus. So it is a win-win situation for both 2-piece and 4-piece. And if you scroll down on the 4-piece set bonus, it can even reduce the cooldown on his elemental skill, making you proc more mortuary rights in his elemental burst state. If you don't have a 4-piece Thundering Fury set, you can go for a 4-piece Gladiator as well. 2-piece set bonus will give you some attack, and 4-piece set bonus would give you 35% normal attack bonus. Normal attack is something that Cyno does, so Gladiator is something that Cyno can make use of. The next set that I'm going to talk about works well in a mono electro comp, or in a comp where you can maintain the electro aura on the enemy. That is correct. 4-piece Thunder Soother. The 4-piece set bonus would increase the damage on enemies that are affected by electro by 35%. So that is nothing to laugh at. Now, if you have farmed this domain and you have good 4-piece set of Gilded, that is a good option for Aggravate as well, because 2-piece will give him elemental mastery and 4-piece will give you more elemental mastery and attack. So basically, for Aggravate there are 2 sets that you can build, Thundering Fury and the Gilded Dream. For the main stats, you want to go either an elemental mastery or an attack timepiece, electro damage bonus goblet, and crit circlet. Both of them are good, okay? Both elemental mastery and attack timepieces are good, but due to his Ascension 4 passive, it makes Cyno scale off of elemental mastery even better than attack for reaction damage. Elemental mastery, you want to use elemental mastery generally when you have a low base attack weapon and you want to do more aggravate damage. Aggravate scales off of level and elemental mastery since it is a transformative reaction, and you want to mainly go for a attack timepiece when you have a high base attack weapon, and mostly very rarely for a non-aggravate comp. The damage from a elemental mastery and an attack timepiece is quite similar. How much energy recharge does Cyno need? Well, it depends on many factors, such as what weapon you're using. Does anyone in your party comp has a Favonius weapon so that they can funnel him energy? Or are you pairing Cyno with a Electro support that will funnel him energy? Okay, if you're gonna run Cyno as a solo Electro, you mainly want to go from anywhere from 160 to 200 energy recharge. And if you have an Electro support with him, 120 to 140 is the range you want to go on Cyno. And if you have an Electro support like Fischl and someone using a Favonius lance, and you have to make sure that you funnel Cyno the white particles when you are using Favonius lance on any of his party members, then only going for literally 100% to 120 is a good option. Weapons. For weapons, you mainly want to go for something that can give you attack or crit. Okay. For the 5-star, we have his signature weapon, that is the Staff of Scarlet Sands. His best in slot, giving him tons and tons of attack through the passive and crit through the secondary stat. If you don't have his signature weapon, that is the Staff of Scarlet Sands, you can go for a Jade Spear or Staff of Homa, both being crit and their power level are quite similar. If you don't have any of these, the lower options would be a Vortex Fangfisher, a Calamity Queller, both giving him raw attack that he needs. 4-star weapon choices would be something like a Deathmatch that can give him crit and attack through his passive. The Mrs. Wind Spear, if you had played the events before and got a Mrs. Wind Spear, that is a good option as it will give you elemental mastery and attack through his passive, and it also gives you tons of attack. Now, if you want, you can even save up tons of Star Glitter and buy the Black Cliff Polearm for Cyno, as it will give you some crit damage. Now, Cyno also has a good free-to-play option, that is the White Tassel. For the low base attack that it has, it makes it up with the good passive. Since it is a 3-star weapon and most of us have it at refinement rank 5, White Tassel is a good option. It will give you a little amount of crit rate, and the passive is very useful for Cyno as he does mainly normal attacks. Combos. If you don't want to break your head and memorize long combos, just do his elemental skill into his elemental burst and normal attack until his ascension 1 procs, that is the eye showing up on the screen. Then you use your elemental skill, time it perfectly, and then normal attack. Keep beating this normal attack and the E procs, and you will gain some good amount of damage and just swap off when the support's duration ends. For those who like to make their life a lot harder, here are some combos that I found online on the screen. Now for the recommended stats, I want your Cyno to be at level 90 as aggravate damage will scale off of your level and elemental mastery. For the attack, I want you to aim from 1.1k all the way to 1.3k. For crit rate would be 70%, a ideal point, and crit damage anywhere from 180 to 220 plus. Elemental mastery of course would be 200 and above, and energy recharge anywhere from 110 all the way to 150 depending upon the team that you're running. Team comps. The main way where you want to build a Cyno, or the skeleton structure of a team comp surrounding Cyno, is pairing him with a battery and then building those two characters around a reaction, be it electrocharge, aggravate, overload, anything that you like. The first comp that I found very useful was pairing Cyno with an electro support like Beidou, Fischl, or even Ye Miko, and pairing these two characters with a Dendro character that can proc quicken and make Cyno do tons of aggravate damage. So for Dendro characters, you mainly want to go for the Dendro Traveler, Nahida, and even Kole. And the last slot is a flex slot where you can put in Zhongli for the shielding and the resistance shred that he can provide you. You can also run 4-piece Petra on Zhongli, as a 4-piece set bonus would give him some electro damage bonus as well. It will give Cyno some electro damage bonus as well. If you don't have Zhongli, you can even go for Kazuha, as if Kazuha swirls the electro, he can give the Viridescent shred and the elemental damage bonus. For a Hyperbloom comp, you have to pair Cyno with a Dendro character and 2 Hydro off fields. So the 2 Hydro off fields can be Kokomi, Xingqiu, Yelan, and the Dendro character of course again would be the Dendro Traveler, Nahida, and Kole. You can also run Cyno in a Taser comp. A Taser comp will involve pairing Cyno with an Electro support or a battery like Beidou, Fischl, Miko, and Hydro character, and then another Hydro character, or else a flex slot. Okay, so the Hydro character again can be Xingqiu, Yelan, Kokomi, and even Barbara if you want slow off-field Hydro application. And the last slot can be another Hydro, or Zhongli, or an Animo support like Kazuha, Jean, and Sucrose. Now, if you want a 2-in-1 kind of electro support like Cookie, you can run Cookie as well, because she can give some healing and is a good off-field electro character. There is something called Cyan National that is pairing Cyno with the national comp, that is Shangling, Bennett, and Xingqiu. You can also run Cyno in an overload comp. Okay, see, the overload comp will be mainly like 2 electro and 2 pyro. So the electro will be Cyno and Fischl, or even Beto or Yaemiko, and the 2 pyro will be Shangling and Bennett. Well, that's all for now. I hope this guide was helpful. Cyno is a very fun character to play with from my perspective when you invest tons of resources into him, and he also dishes out a lot of damage. Well, that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, liking and subbing to the channel is greatly appreciated. And if you want any help with your account or have any doubts regarding Cyno or generally any other character, you can join my Discord and I will help you out. I also do account reviews for those who need and fix their accounts. And I will also have Dea guide out soon as well. So if you pulled for Dea and not for Cyno, you can go watch my Dea guide. Link will be in the description. That's all for now. I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.